rua i te pūkenga rua i te hora rua i te wana rua i te atamai, rua amatu take o tāne. Tēnei au, he pūkenga he wānanga e are nei te taringa ki te whakarongo. O ngā taringa rongo mai te hānui o rongo mai te harangi. O tūpai whakarongo wānanga. O te hono tēnei ka mau whiwhi ia, mau rawea. Kia puta ki te whaia, ki te ao mārama. Whāno, hara mai te tōki. Haumi e, hui e, tai ki e.
Ka manawa mai ka tatau mai. E tū, tū ka riri, tū ka nguha. Tū tuparere, tū tupokokota. Ka kōkota ki whea, ka kōkota ki raru aku taha. Tū te wini, tū te wana. Ka ngaru atu ki te rangi, ki te whakarongana mai, ki taku hau taua, he taua. Ko te puke e tū nei ka horo, ko te maunga e tū nei ka horo, he tiraka marara, he whare kahinga. Ki te pō uri, ki te pō tango, ki te pō o tia tua i te pō. Nā reira e te whare tapu o pō te tau te whiro, e tangi. E tangi i te rirohanga, a te upoko o te kingitanga i te wiki ko pahuri ake nei, nā reira e kingi tūheitia. Haere. Haere ki a rātau mā ngā mātua ngā tupuna, ngā rārangi kingi, tatari mai ana i a koe i te pō. Haere, hoki koe, ki tō māma, te atai i rangi kahu. Haere koe, ki tō pāpā a whatimuana. Haere ki a rātau katoa, ngā rangatiro te pō. Nā reira, takoto e moi haere. Ngā tini mate ki wainganui a tātou, ka tangihia, ka mihia. Rātau i te wāhingaro ki a rātau, a tātou ngā waihotanga mai o ngā mātua tūpuna e tū nei. Tēnei ka mihi, tēnei ka tangi. Haere mai, tau mai te mauri, a ka tātou nei hui i tēnei rā. Tēnei rā i a tātou e whakaaro rangatira ana, ki a papātua anuku e takoto ake nei, ārangi nui e tui honei, a tangaroa whakamautai, tāne whakapiripiri i kōrero mai hea te reo karangi i tēnei rā. Nā reira, ki a koutou e ngā kai whakahaere o tēnei hui, koutou ngā ringa me ngā waiwai o te kaupapa, tēnei a Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei e mihi nei e tangi nei ki a koutou. Tēnā koutou, a tēnā rā tātou katoa. Tēnā pēko mōhio ke koutou he reo tō te Māori. Ko te reo Māori tērā. Engari he reo anō tō te moana. E haruru nei i roto i tērā o ngā kōrero pāpaki mai ngā ngaru nunui. Tērā reo, me he mea ora ana, ka rangona te hinengaro, ka rangona te taringa, ka rangona te ngākau. Kei te pērā anō te ngahere, ka rongo e ngā manu kōrero, ngā manu tī ori, tangi mai ana i te ata, ka mōhio tērā wāhi e ora ana. Nā reira, tērā kōrero, whatu ngaro te tangata. Whatu ngaro te tangata, toi tū ana te whenua. Tēnā pēr ka pakaru mai te reo pāhea mo tētahi wahanga poto noiho nei. Mother Earth doesn't need us to survive. Whatu ngaro te tangata. As we pass away, the land will remain. Hoi anō. Some of us are speeding up a process that we need to grab by the reins and pull it back. Ki te kore te ao e ora, ka mate katoa tātou. Nā reira, many indigenous cultures have practiced this have this belief system. Ne? And this is something that, we've been trying to share with other like-minded cultures around the world. Nā reira, while you're here today, we hope that you have a great hui. We hope that the hui challenges you to rise above the economics, to challenge your own practices, to see which side are you on. And we all need to be on the same side. We all need to be on the right side. If our great-grandchildren are to have live in a world, the world that us babies born in the 60s or 50s, where all the water in every creek we ever played in was fresh and you could drink it. And that was here in Auckland. Where you could go eeling in any creek in Auckland and you'd find an eel. Sad to say now, te tai, you can't do that in Auckland now. And we don't have the cast iron stomachs of our great-grandparents who could eat the mussels off the pylons around Okahu Bay. You fellas can't eat those, and neither can I. There's plenty of them there. Another 100 years they might be okay. If we can come together and, be soldiers for Papa Tuanuku and Rangi Nui e Tūnei. And that's for your great-grandchildren and for mine. So we've got to be in this together. Otherwise, who knows what might happen to you fellas. Kana whi tērā kōrero, kei pahu hau, hoi anō, kia kaha rā tātou. Kia kaha rā tātou, we must all be part of the solution. Tātou katoa. Nā reira, mihi ana kia tātou, kia pai te rā, kia tau mai ngā tauwhirotanga iho o ngā mano ki rungi a tātou, tēnei ka mihi, tēnei ka tangi, tēnā koutou, he wai. Piti hono tātai hono, rātau ngā pura whetū ki te rangi ki a rātau. Piti hono tātai hono, tātau ngā waihotanga mai, i raro i tērā kupu whakāri, tō mātou tipuna ihenga, me tipu ia wiwi, ia wāwā, tūria ki te wera, piri ki te rito o te rengarenga, waiho me whakapakari ki te hua o te kawariki, e aku tapu nui, e aku mana nui, tēnā koutou, e heke ana. Yeah.
First of all, before I introduce myself, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei, who open our conferences every year. Every year the bar goes up higher and higher and higher. And every year I think to myself, I'm so glad that I'm not the person who has to follow them. And this year I am that person. A huge thank you to you. I thought your words were incredibly prescient for what we're trying to achieve over the next 2 days, and we were talking about it earlier. And we all do have to be in this together. And at a time when we're talking a lot about division, I think it's important that we rise above that and that we focus on unity. So thank you so much for your words today. Thank you. So tēnā koutou katoa. I'm Mike Burrell, and I'm coming to you with laryngitis, so excuse me for the speech this morning. I'm from the Sustainable Business Council, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here today to welcome you all to the 16th, would you believe, the 16th Climate Change in Business Conference. I want to say another thank you to Ngāti Whātua for that inspiring mihi and those wise words. And I'd also like to acknowledge Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei, the tangata whenua of Central Tāmaki. To our old friends, I can see many of you, welcome back. And for our first timers, it's great to have you join us. I've just had the figures in. We've actually, believe it or not, in these times of great economic hardship, beaten last year's record, would you believe? So thank you to you all. It just shows you that I think the people in this room understand the issue and what we need to do to resolve it. So the Climate Change in Business Conference, as you know, is co-hosted and was established by the Environmental Defence Society, and I want to acknowledge Gary and his team here today, the Sustainable Business Council and the Climate Leaders Coalition, and we are very proud of the fact that it's the longest running climate change business event in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I want to start by extending our heartfelt thanks to all of our event sponsors. Now, can we get those up here? I think I can do that, can't I? There we go. These are challenging times, and it is not easy to be sponsoring an event such as this during times of recession. So I really want to say a huge thank you, I think we've just gone past them, to all of our sponsors. I particularly want to thank our foundation sponsors, Westpac and Becker, our platinum sponsor, IAG, and our destination sponsor, Tataki, Auckland Unlimited, as well as the Viaduct Event Centre. This year's conference theme is Leading Climate Action. And we were very careful when we put this together because we realised that leadership sometimes is taken to mean somebody else. And we're not taking it to mean that. We're taking it to mean all of us. The word today we're going to use is us. It's not on somebody else, it's on us. And it reflects the critical role of leadership in maintaining and accelerating our momentum towards our net zero goal. A focus is also being given in this conference towards the increasingly vital part that nature has to play in reducing our emissions and adapting to climate change. We heard that call last year, we've responded to it. I've been reflecting a bit on what we've seen at a high level in terms of climate action since we got together this time last year. Now, the data says that we've got some momentum. It's been a long time coming, some would say, but Stats NZ's data from April of this year shows that greenhouse gas emissions fell for the third consecutive year since 2022. So it appears that we have started to bend the curve in our emissions. But many of you will note that this is off the back of the COVID crisis, when we basically shut down our whole economy. And you're right, this could just be serendipitous. The evidence for whether we are actually bending the curve through our actions will come over the next several years. And that is our challenge. Our challenge is to bend the emissions curve and to meet our emissions budgets. The Climate Change Commission has reminded us that it is possible to grow our economy and reduce emissions. It is clear, in fact, that while GDP has grown by 147% since 1990, our gross emissions have grown by only 14%. So that shows that it is possible to decouple emissions from economic growth. Clearly, we have to do better if we're going to bend the curve, but it is possible to have a thriving economy and to reduce emissions. Internationally, momentum on climate action is building. China, the US, the EU, and many other countries are examples of countries that are investing heavily in their net zero transition. Regulators are continuing to shape the market that we sell into. And this is a thread that runs through the conference with several sessions on international trade. If we are to take advantages of the opportunities in the newly live EU and UK free trade agreements, we will need to meet increasingly high sustainability and climate standards. And it's not just Europe. Our nearest trading partner, Australia, has only recently introduced climate disclosure requirements and other climate legislation. Sustainability claims under the spotlight, internationally and here in New Zealand as well. And we are seeing an evolution in target setting. Many in this room will be in their first year of reporting, and it's hard. Firsts are hard, but we will become more efficient, and I'm optimistic that this will soon just become part of our BAU, much as other types of reporting do. But the actions that come from that reporting cannot be BAU. BAU will not get us there. There's been a change of government and a related shift in their policy approach. Tomorrow morning we're going to hear from the Minister of Climate Change, and an opportunity for you all to be able to ask him some detailed questions about what that policy means and what the actions that come from it look like. The conversation around climate is also maturing. Mitigation, adaptation, and nature are being talked about side by side, and we will be unpacking the relationship between these three different strands this year. The backdrop to all of this, of course, is the global and domestic economic conditions. It's tough out there. In fact, I was just speaking to a colleague of mine just before, and it is tough. It's tough for businesses, it's tougher for households, and we see that. And the impacts are widespread. And we are facing these serious economic headwinds at a time when we need to be making faster progress on emissions. To do that is going to require leadership. As Stephen Fry said, people are not nouns, we are verbs. We are defined by what we do, and leadership is the same. It's something that you do. It's not something that you are. So the question is, what does leadership mean in the current context? It means inspiring others to take action. When you think about the resources available through all of you in this room, just think about that for a moment. The billions of dollars caught up in this room by the decision makers in this room. Suddenly the task that we are undertaking seems that more achievable. Leadership looks like a commitment to collaboration, which means leveraging all of our unique strengths. And we've got an opening session that's going to be talking about partnerships and the importance of collaboration. Leadership requires a focus on communicating effectively. What we say and how we say it matters. Words matter. Leadership means looking after each other. Sustaining the people in this room is vital if we're going to meet our long-term goal. It means continuing to explore new frontiers and, at times, making difficult decisions, taking risks on innovative solutions, and favouring options that disrupt the status quo and traditional thinking. And it means keeping the end goal in mind at all times and holding on to our vision. We must be net zero by 2050, and everything we do should have that goal in mind. The essence of this event has always been to provide a place for business leaders to come together and learn from each other. So we have a broad range of speakers for you over the next few days, from business and government leaders through to community leaders, iwi leaders, and a myriad of climate specialists and practitioners that we'll hear from at the breakout sessions this afternoon. And we'll close with some political leaders this afternoon as well. We're also pleased to have, for the first time in 5 years, some excellent international speakers who are going to be taking us out of ourselves and making us think about the broader picture. As well as hearing from more practitioners across the plenaries, we've included smaller practical sessions using workshops, masterclasses and roundtable formats. I hope you're all able to make it to the networking function tonight, because that's a great opportunity to get together, meet colleagues old and new, and get revved up for the day ahead. I'm often asked how we can ensure that this conference is more than just a talk shop and that it's a place of action. One way we can do this is to hold ourselves accountable. Behind me, you can see a very, very familiar graph. In it, you can see the beginnings of how we're bending the curve in that graph in order to meet our 2050 goal. But you can also see that it's going to take a sustained drop if we're going to track down to the rate that's required to meet our target. There's a lot of work yet to be done. And so beyond just being a space to learn and share, the purpose of this conference is to galvanise action. It's to build and maintain momentum, and to sustain all of you in this challenging mission. And to do this, we need all the leaders in this room. We need each and every one of you. And as you move through this conference, keep asking yourself, how can this provision me and my team for the year ahead? How can I get sustenance from this amazing group of people? How can I inspire and be inspired by others? How can I sustain others? Share the good stuff and the hard stuff. Do deals. Partner up. Do whatever it is you need to do so that when you come back next year, you can tell your story and tell us what you've achieved. I challenge you to think about what leadership looks like in your role. What you need to do over the next 12 months to be able to come back here and look at that graph and think, I am contributing to bending that curve. I know you are up for this challenge. That's why you're here today. In a year's time, let's see what progress we've made. Before I wrap up, I'd like to acknowledge our partnership with EDS and the fantastic work of Gary, Fiona, Kate and the EDS team. We feel very privileged to be able to partner with you every year. I'd also like to thank Alana, Antonia, Kate, Nicole and the team at SBC and the Climate Leaders Coalition for bringing this fantastic two-day program together. And now I'm going to hand it over to Kathryn to kick off this conference. Welcome.